For Nigeria to work the way you and I want it to work, it is not a change of constitution we need. It is not even true federalism. And we do not need to divide Nigeria for Nigeria to work. We do not. I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability, and I hope that after you watch this video, you will come to agree with me that what Nigeria needs is not any of these things that I just mentioned, but the one I will tell you very, very shortly. Before I tell you what Nigeria needs, I want to explain something. I hope you agree with me. If you don't, do let me know. Let's disagree to agree. At the end of the day, what we want is a Nigeria that works. Many people make the mistake of thinking that Nigeria needs a new constitution. And they make the argument that this current constitution was written by a few persons and was done by the military. Number one, even though it was done under a military regime, it was civilians that actually wrote the constitution. And then when you say it was written by a few persons, it was written by about 54 persons. It was a committee of about 54 persons. Now, many argue that because it's just 54 persons, then it is not our constitution. But I want to ask you, do you know how many people wrote the Constitution of the United States of America? UK does not have a constitution because they run a parliamentary style of government. In parliamentary system, they make the law in the parliament. So they don't have a written constitution. But in America, that has the presidential style of government, which we copied, which Obasanjo brought to us in 1979. You have written constitution. And the United States of America, they have a written constitution. Guess how many people wrote the Constitution of the United States of America that they are using today? They are a population of 300 million, 330 million plus people. And they have a constitution that was written by how many people do you think? You can Google it. 50 persons. Now, if 50 persons wrote the Constitution of the United States of America that we know today, in fact, not that we know today, when the Constitution of America was written by these 50 persons in 1776, California, Nevada, and all those parts were not part of America yet at that time. It was later that they joined. So those ones can actually come up to say, we were not part of America when you wrote the Constitution. We need a new Constitution. But they didn't do that. So 50 persons wrote the Constitution of America, and America is working today. So why would 54 persons write the Constitution of Nigeria, and that is now the reason why Nigeria is not working? The Constitution is not the problem. And a further proof is the fact of the 2023 presidential elections. As beautiful as the 2022 Electoral Act was, not perfect, but as beautiful as it was, the political players still found a way to circumvent the Electoral Act. INEC found a way to circumvent it. Nnamdi Kanu is in detention today, despite several court orders ordering his release. Even though our constitution provides for fundamental human rights, which in his case have been violated, the people in charge have still just refused to release him. That is not a problem of the constitution. It's a different problem which we'll get to very, very shortly. But for now, let's just agree that the constitution is not the problem of Nigeria. Many may say, oh, it's a unitary constitution. We need to restructure it to be true federalism. But I will still say, even if we wrote a brand new constitution today, and God wrote it for us, and it was as good as the Bible or the Quran, and in it you have true federalism, if the main problem is not fixed, the constitution will still be rendered useless. The constitution as it is right now does not stop any state or any state governor or any state house of assembly from developing their state. It doesn't. But are the states developed? The answer is no. The constitution as it is now does not stop any local government area from developing. But are they developed? The answer is no. So the problem of Nigeria, what Nigeria needs, is not the constitution. Many people think it is secession. Oh, let us go our separate ways. The Northerners are behaving in a weird way. They are dragging us back. The Southeasterners, the IPOB, Biafrans, they want, oh, give us our country. We know how to make things work. The Southwest believe, give us Oduduwa Republic and we will just be fine. We are very, very educated. Look, the same clamor that we have now is the same clamor that South Sudan had. And then they broke away from Sudan. Are they any better today? If we don't look at what the problem really is, we'll get to that shortly. Even if we disintegrate to 250 smaller countries, the problems that each individual of us are suffering today will still continue. So the problem is not the constitution, it's not secession. That's not what Nigeria needs. What exactly is it that Nigeria needs? To understand it, we must understand how organizations like the IMF and the World Bank play a role in the current condition of Nigeria. We all agree that we have a problem of leadership. Problem of leadership. Whether you think it is constitution, it comes from bad leadership. Whether you think it is secession we need, it is because of bad leadership. Whether you think that the IMF and the World Bank are controlling our leaders, it is because the leaders are bad. So at the heart of the problem is bad leadership. So what is it that Nigeria needs? Having this picture now, we need a change of leadership from this current crop of bad leaders to good leaders. So the question is, how do we get good leaders? Or maybe I should even ask this. Does it mean that there are no good leaders in Nigeria, only bad leaders? I want to attempt to answer that and say, there are good leaders in Nigeria. But it so happens that the way the leadership recruitment process is structured, it does not allow credible leaders with integrity, to participate in the electoral process. Why do I say this? Let's turn our attention to the activities of the recruitment house, where leaders are recruited in Nigeria, the political parties. It is cash and carry politics. Cash and carry politics. In fact, politics of the highest bidder. So they set very exorbitant and very expensive costs or fees for nomination forms. Fees that when you hear it, it is only people who have intention to go there and loot and recoup their money can participate, can pay. So if we want to change the leadership in Nigeria, we want to solve the leadership problem. It's not constitutional. If the likes of Akpabio, the likes of Tinubu, the likes of all the leaders that we have now, the current governors, if they are still the ones in charge, if you like, go to heaven and bring a new constitution. If you like, divide the country into the 6 geopolitical zones. If this current crop of leaders are still the ones in charge, forget it. Nigeria will still not be developed. Each of the regions will still be suffering the same problems that we are suffering now. What we need is a change of guards at the polls. It is possible. I know it is. And it starts with opening up the political terrain. Opening it up. Once we open it up, then credible leaders can come. And how do we open it up? We need to make it easy for people to contest elections, to run for office. We need to make it easy. You don't need to have millions or billions before you can run. If we do that, we will have healthy competition and we will have credible leaders getting thrown up. And then Nigerians will see hope. And all the 50, 60 million Nigerians that have their PVC but are discouraged to vote because they don't see any credible options, those Nigerians will rise up And you'll be amazed at how our country will change rapidly. So we need reforms at the political party. Right now, the Labour Party is attempting one. I am keeping my fingers crossed, thinking something good will come out of it. I hope it does. It's not likely because the rank and file of these political parties, not just Labour Party, we have it in PDP, we have it in APC, we have it in NNPP, even the smaller political parties are worse. Their nomination fees may be smaller, but the burden they put on the candidates is hellish. You pay for salaries, you pay for rent, you pay for fuel, you buy cars. A lot of responsibilities are put on the candidates. That makes it almost impossible for you to continue, except you have a mind to go in there and loot. So we may need to, or we do need to start a fresh political party from scratch. And I'm inviting you to join us in the Abundance Party of Nigeria. We want to create it together. I'm sure you have not had the opportunity to create a political party before. This is your first time. And you are a well-meaning Nigerian with integrity. Come and join us. Click the link in the description and join us. Let us create this party together with clearly stated ideologies, and not just that, with clearly stated punishment for breach of such ideologies. It will work because INEC recognizes the constitution of the political parties. The Supreme Court has repeatedly recognized the supremacy of the constitution of the political party, second only to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and appropriate laws. So with a proper constitution in this our new political party that clearly stipulates how everything is done, so there is no ambiguity, no loophole that politicians can hide behind, safeguards put in place so that during elections, people who lose primaries in other political parties do not infiltrate our political party. By the time we do all of these things, I tell you the truth, we will revolutionize leadership in Nigeria, and then Nigeria will be great again. This is what Nigeria needs, a change of guards. Not constitution, not secession. Let me know what you think in the description. Let's think together. Bring your ideas, and also click the link to join us in this Abundance Party venture that we are going into.